boyfriend. They knew I had a boyfriend, and it wasn't until he showed up that they realized he was black that that's when everything kind of went sideways. The union president and other officers and a manager refer to my unborn child as a niglet. They talked about the niglets that visit in the waiting room, visiting the black inmate. They still segregated into B range. B is for black, and they still followed that when I left.
Especially those first few years, I felt like I had to prove myself every single day. That just because of the color of my skin, it doesn't mean I can't do the same job as you and deserve the same pay.
I was liked by everybody. I was progressing well within my platoon, invited to weddings and backyard barbecues and everything. And it wasn't until we were out one night and my daughter's father picked me up, and they had no clue that he was black. And it was like the dust settled, like nobody was talking to me again. I'd walk into a lunchroom and they'd stop talking, or, I wasn't invited to anything. My friends were no longer my friends anymore, and I didn't know why. And obviously it progressed astronomically. There was a time where I had the lug nuts taken off the tires of my car, and I had to pull over. I was driving down a county road, so I was going fast. And there was a white supremacist who was threatening my life, and that was me coming on shift. Everybody was already locked up. It was a night shift, and I don't even know, I've never dealt with this inmate, but they had told him that the officers had told him that my daughter was black. And the police were called because that's standard procedure, and he was removed from the floor. But the very next day, a particular manager who I feel is very racist let him out of the hole, dropped the charges, didn't adjudicate anything. And when the police called for follow-up, he said it was fine, don't worry about it, we took care of it. So I had to work with him the next day, that inmate, loose. It was constant things like that. I would pull out an inmate, and then I wouldn't have backup. Like they would say they were coming to take them, or I could send them to the next floor, and then they wouldn't show up, and I didn't have anybody as backup to put them back in the range. So it made your job very, very dangerous. You didn't have backup. I did ask if I could do a cleaning crew because they were starting to pull people, inmates, to clean the halls. They needed someone to watch. So I cleared a female because her charges were very easy to clear, and she'd be there for a while. And at the time, it's a revolving door a lot of times at the jail. And they said I just pulled her because she's black. And then the officers started urinating all over the equipment. It is all locked up, and the only people that could access that equipment were the officers. And every day, 9 months pregnant, I was cleaning up their urine. I've had them pretty much call me, associate me as being a slut for being with black men. My credibility went just down the drain. And not one man, like who I was with. And as soon as they found out that my daughter's dad was black, my credibility just went down the drain. And it was a really, really difficult time. I was teaching life skills with the inmates, and they would stop the classes from coming up. They damaged my equipment that was locked up. So the officers were the only ones that had access. When I went to the union president, he told me rose before hose. And then he told everybody else that if they write a report about it, he's going to read it and tell everybody who the rats are in the building.
Wow. And these are COs? Is this management? Are these correctional officers? Who exactly?
Correctional officers, they are management. There's a lot of other management that I told, and I was so scared to, what should I do? Should I put it on paper? And I was literally seen on camera being chased in the parking lot by a manager. And even that, it didn't matter that there was cameras. It didn't matter that other people heard it. Nobody would come forward. Even managers that I told, when When my daughter's dad called my phone, it was documented what time he called. It was documented what time I was in the control room. And another officer answered it and said, she'll call you back when I'm done effing her. I put that on paper. I wrote the report. Nothing. It's documented. It's on your cell phone. People are logged in. The person who was in that control room was in the lunchroom afterwards and answered my phone. And again, when you are in that kind of situation, you have nobody to turn to at all whatsoever. It is so scary that when you can tell a manager, and one of the culprits is the manager, it's been known. And I think they need to change how they hire. They need to screen better. They definitely need to stop taking in other jails' mistakes, because they just transfer them, or they hide them, or they promote them. And they need to stop. I like to say that it's very incestuous, because they hire their wives or their cousins or their friends or their buddies, and they're not qualified to do the job. And they definitely need to come up with some kind of, anonymous reporting. The blue line, the blue code has got to go. It is hurting people, both sides of the bars. It is hurting people. Right. I've seen them shred all the ombudsman's letters for inmates who are trying to get help. They just shred them.
Yep.
And the more they get away with it, the more bolder they become. I don't want a gag order. I would rather lose. There's not going to be any settlement. They're not going to admit any wrongdoing. I will be heard. I'm going to call out everybody out of retirement. I don't care. And, but I'm not going to sign a gag order, because this cannot be silenced anymore. And when my initial mediation with a certain supervisor, he said, well, this is not going to go anywhere because her daughter's black. And that was it. How can you mediate? And then I asked, could you write that down? Let's talk about that. And it was done. Like, no, we're not allowed to write it down. We're not allowed to anything. I did everything I could to try and mediate, to find out why they hate me so much. And
you can't record anything.
You can't. No, you can't. It was brutal.
So what advice do you have for the inmates who are currently still on the inside?
Oh my goodness. I wish I knew the answer to that. I really do. How do you change the color of your skin? You can't. I have no advice. I don't know what would make them safe. I don't know how to make it easier, because they're trapped in there. It's a dangerous place here in 2020 still, and I'm sorry, I'm a loss at words for that, because you can say you see things on TV and say, oh, about resisting, about this, it doesn't matter. It's not resisting. It's just the color of your skin. That's all it is, and you can't change that. So how do you advise somebody different? Yeah. Maybe have somebody on the outside that's going to be actively communicating with them, but even that is not enough. Yeah. I worked there and it wasn't enough.
You said that in school you were taught not to write reports?
Correct. Yep. We were taught, one of the examples on the test was, if your superior officer is driving home drunk, The correct answer is to not report it and bring them home.
Oh.
And that's it. That's the correct answer on the test.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm surprised. I'm shocked. Even though I'm not surprised, I'm shocked though. But they're
Yeah.
so cool with that. But okay. Well, I guess they're teaching that from school then.
Absolutely. And, at the time I was, young and smaller and bent up, and they said, oh, you're going to have a hard time in there. But I passed the first time. I went through all the training. Like some people take a lot of times to get in there. I got in right away. I diffused so many situations, so many fights. I get involved in the fights. I do, for separating, all of that, all the codes, but still, it didn't matter. When I started teaching, I bridged the gap between the Windsor Jail and probation and parole because we're working with the same clients. So I'm teaching the same classes that they're teaching, that their government courses that they have to take, like anger management. And we never speak to one another, but we're working with the same clients. And so I bridged that gap, and then they said, well, that bubble's going to burst soon. And that was it. It was just, it didn't matter what you did. What matters is that my daughter was black, and my boyfriend was black, and it has to be that because everything was fine before then.